Good afternoon, Ma'am Danica, and good afternoon, classmate. I'm Nicole Bautista. I'm gonna introduce to you Eugene Delacroix. Ferdinand Eugene Victor Delacroix, more commonly known as Eugene Delacroix, was a French painter who had a profound influence on the Romantic movement. Known as a master of color, Delacroix became a pupil of the English Romantic landscapists and extracted from their techniques to develop a unique and memorable approach to color. The impact of literature in both historical and contemporary events, coupled with his innate artistic technique, created an explosive viewing experience on canvas. Eugene Delacroix, the greatest French Romantic painter, was born on April 26, 1798, at Charenton, Saint Maurice in France, and he died on August 13, 1863, at the age of 65. Delacroix was the fourth child of Victoire Aubin, a descendant of the Aubin-Ruisenar family, which had created furniture for the French king and court in the 17th and 18th centuries, and of Charles Delacroix, a government official who was ambassador to Holland in 1798. Within his distinguished and artistic family, he formed a passion for music and theater. In 1815, he became the pupil of a renowned academic painter, Pierre Narcisse Guérin. Delacroix debuted at the Paris Salon of 1822, in which he exhibited his first masterpiece, the Dante and Virgil in Hell. The Dante and Virgil in Hell is one of the landmarks in the development of French 19th century Romantic painting. Dante and Virgil in Hell was inspired by Dante's Divine Comedy, but its tragic feeling and the powerful modeling of its figure are reminiscent of Michelangelo, and its rich color shows the influence of Peter Paul Rubens. In 1824, he exhibited at the Salon The Massacre at Chios, a large canvas depicting the dramatic contemporary massacre of Greeks by Turks on the island of Chios. Delacroix always had an interesting approach to lighting. He tended to leave a majority of the canvas in a mysterious half-shadow while illuminating certain figures. Delacroix uses a quick blurred brushstroke, creating the impression of desolation. Between 1827 and 1832, Delacroix produced masterpieces in quick succession. Chief among them is the Death of Sardanapalus, a violent and voluptuous Byronic subject, in which women, slaves, animals, jewels, and rich fabrics are combined in a sensuous but somewhat incoherent scene. Delacroix decided to paint in a vignette style, which called for a strong focus in the center as the image becomes less defined at the edges. He created chaos by adding more dead bodies and murders than the original text suggests. One of his finest paintings on historical subjects, the execution of the Doge Marina Valerio. Delacroix painting shows the interior of the ducal palace as the painter imagined it, with its marble columns, balustrades, and at the center of the composition, the wide staircase on which the Doge was executed. In 1830, Delacroix painted Liberty leading the people to commemorate the July Revolution that had just brought Louis Philippe to the French throne. He repeats the color of the French flag to emphasize the power of France and the power of her people. To connect the heroine Liberty with the fighting people, Delacroix uses the same color of her dress on the necktie of a revolutionist, and these colors are repeated use throughout the canvas to create unity. This piece conjures up feelings of power, of freedom, and of victory while paying tribute to those who died fighting for their cause and country. From January to July 1832, Delacroix toured in Algeria, Spain, and Morocco with the Comte de Mornay, King Louis Philippe's diplomatic representative to the Sultan. Morocco proved to be a revelation to Delacroix, who found in its people and way of life the Homeric nobility and beauty that he had never seen in French academic neoclassicism itself. The sights of exuberant nature and the beauty of the horses, the Arabs and their flowing costume, would henceforth inspire his visual memory, even in his last works. The first fruits of his Moroccan impressions are collected in Women of Algiers in their apartment, in which three sumptuously costumed Arab women and their surroundings are portrayed in a blaze of exquisitely warm color harmonies. The main activity in this image takes place at the lower center and the left-hand corner. Attention shifts from each woman like a ping-pong ball. The technique of Delacroix colors and brush strokes ranges from smooth to rough and dull to shiny. Delacroix bathes the woman in a sensuous light, creating a calming effect. The latter part of his career, Delacroix was favored with a string of important commissions to decorate government buildings. During this period, Delacroix also painted several canvases on the largest scale of his career, notably two for the Museum of History at Versailles, the Battle of Taillebourg, and entry of the Crusaders into Constantinople. In this painting, Delacroix's goal is not to describe the event, but to make the spectator feel its emotional consequences. Entry of the Crusaders into Constantinople. As against scenes of pillage and carnage, Delacroix here preferred to depict the moment when the weary warriors pose in the face of supplication and death, when violence begins to abate and order is about to be restored. It is moreover from the Venetians that Delacroix learned the sumptuousness of expressive color. Lastly, Delacroix died in 1863, leaving more than 600 drawings, watercolors, and prints to be sold. His journals are among the most penetrating of artist notebooks, since those kept by Leonardo da Vinci. A selective edition of them in English by Hubert Wellington was published in 1951 as the Journal of Eugene Delacroix. That's all. Thank you for listening.